That's calorie free.
The microphone,
Mm-hmm.
calorie free.
Yeah. Now because I'm hungry. I've been juicing. So I just had a glass of juice and a pumpkin spice coffee. So I'm like, calories. So yes, but I'm determined. So I'm on it. Welcome, Friday, August 11th, and welcome to Fun Day Friday. I've been juicing all morning, and I'm kind of high on life at the moment. And
And I've been crying all morning, and I am not.
right, exactly. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, all right, I'm gonna get on this call and ain't never gonna break me down. Like, what is it?
Nobody gonna break my stride.
That one. There was another one. There was another song that I was like, "Don't bring me down. Don't bring me down. Woohoo! Don't bring me down." And I was thinking that was yes. I was thinking that song in my head. I was like, "How can I do this?" Because like sometimes I don't want to like be all in your face and shit because you gotta feel what you gotta feel, you know. And if you ever watch that movie Inside Out, great Pixar movie, a lot of neuropathy in that movie. There's aspects of it like sadness has a point. You know, there is a reason that sadness is here, and that's great. And Tony even made a good point too about like when you're high vibe and low vibe, like you're gonna influence each other. So I was like, I want to influence you in a way that doesn't feel like forcing you out of the feeling that you need to feel and the emotion that you need to understand and release in your own way. But at the same time, how can I help you bring yourself back into a peak state and recognize, like you sent me something earlier, it's like it could always be worse and show like a big tree on somebody's house, you know? So how do you allow yourself to flow through those emotions and feel the grief that you need to feel and do what you need to do, while also recognizing that your vibration is your choice, you know, and getting intentional about that while not, you know, wanting to hit your sunburning bestie over the head with a ball bat.
Well, you know,
because we're on Zoom.
I think for people who don't know, I'm grieving two animals that have disappeared both within a couple of weeks of each other this past month. And so cats, indoor outdoor cats, that this is their home. So disappearing for a couple days is one thing, but for weeks on end is a pretty clear indication that they're not coming back. And so I've been very much grieving, but I think what I'm noticing is like people are so uncomfortable with it. Like everybody, and even kind of what you were just saying to an extent, it's like, okay, but then how to get into the vibration you want. Maybe I want to be fucking sad and crying, right? And like, and I don't want people to be telling me how to get out of it and how to feel and what to do and ba. It's like nobody wants to give grief the time it deserves and needs. Everybody's so quick to want to jump out of it. And it's only been a week since
5 minutes. Right.
Yeah, right. So it's like, and I found myself doing it, honestly, because of the things and the stuff, right? And the
social paradigm that says we shouldn't feel like this.
Yeah, so I found myself subconsciously doing it, and then I realized I hit a point where, okay, I'm actually feeling something now, because I was in survival mode for a minute, and now today I think it hit me even more because it's like finally sinking in. And so this morning has been the most emotional morning I've had so far, and I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is like everybody lately has something to say about it. That's instead of just saying, you know what, that really sucks, I'm here for you. Do you need to cry? Go ahead and cry. It's more of like all these, I don't know, freaking quotes and cliches, and I'm just kind of like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because I want to give myself the proper time that I need, because I don't want it to come back later because I've been ignoring it. But I also recognize I can't live here, obviously. I mean, I gave myself the morning. This afternoon I have stuff I got to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stay focused, but it just sucks. It really just sucks.
Well, and you know, not to put too fine a point on it, 3 days ago was the anniversary of little Stu's death, you know, and that was 12 years ago. And he was just this little tiny being, this little tiny horse that changed my life. And I even now just talking about it, I'm starting to tear up. I mean, that's how connected I was to him and what gifts he gave me. And, and it's okay, at the same time, knowing that hanging on to that and being attached to it is and I mean, I'm just going to say it, it's selfish because we have other, I wouldn't want somebody 12 years later crying over me and my death. I would want them to move on and live their life and go and put, and, tits up. And, to honor more of grief is such a powerful thing to consider. And so, like you said, give yourself that time. But what length of time is that? Like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? How long does it take to get over, to move through, to allow the grieving process to occur in a way, that you're not feeling such acute pain, and they say time heals all wounds. I call bullshit. I think, you have to intentionally choose to heal those wounds. And, I never want to forget, the beautiful things that little Stu brought to my life any more than you want to forget the things that, your animals have brought you. And it doesn't matter. It could be a goldfish or a hermit crab, or, there's no judgment over what it is. It's still a loss, and nature abhors a void. And anytime you have that gap, you need to allow that time for it to be filled with something that can transcend you into a loving space. And I always wondered, why did God, allow little, why did Trapper people, why did he choose to take little Stu, or why did little Stu decide to leave when he did in the way that he did? And I mean, even to this day, telling that story, and sometimes we aren't given the beautiful grace to understand why that is. I was given some insights, because when little Stu passed, I mean, people came out of the woodwork and sent me pictures, and I got a wooden sculpture and paintings, and they said how much he changed their life, and I realized that was what kind of shifted my sailboat into the trajectory and leaning into the work that you and I are now both doing. And had he not passed, I'm not saying that I have God's eyeballs and know that I would not have ended up on this same path from a different way. But I knew that was the turning point in my life to say, I want to help people through horses. And as painful as it was, it's a big deal. And to give yourself that space and understand maybe you don't know why.
Not at all. And what I've been thinking about a lot is the not knowing, right? Because them disappearing is like I'm making an educated guess, but I don't know exactly what happened. It's odd and peculiar and abnormal, for one cat to disappear and then 3 weeks later, another cat. And so, is there a predator? Isn't there a predator? Did they whatever it is, the fact is they're gone. So the not knowing is tough. And I realized through this experience that having an answer, I think a lot of us, I've been having this conversation a lot recently, trying to have an understanding or an answer provides a sense of safety and security, right? So now it's like, okay, how do I give myself that safety and security that would typically get from having the understanding, right, or what I believe is an understanding or an answer or whatever it is. So that's now kind of been in my prefrontal cortex of figuring out how do I create.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what, too? I could be totally wrong. I could die and go to heaven, and, St. Peter's up there, and he's like, that whole little story you had around why little Stu died, totally wrong. You had it totally freaking backwards. Like,
right.
And you're like, oh, are you serious? I lived my whole life believing that it was because he was guiding me to my greater purpose, and it was because, something completely different. So that's where you go, I love it. And I love it. Don't you love it? And I know you're going to love this. You're going to freaking love it. I love it when somebody projects their story onto something that a horse is doing. that anthropomorphic thinking, a projection of what our value system. I'll never forget it. Rose, I was at the rescue with Rose, and she did something. And the lady was like, oh, that's because she doesn't like the dirt that she's cantering on, or whatever it was. I don't even remember what her story was, but it was so outlandish. Like, it was so obviously not that I was like, it really was all I could do to not whip around on this woman and say, stop projecting onto the horse, but it was her value system. It was her story based on her beliefs, her past experiences, her genetic makeup, her past lives, from the things that, all of those crazy things that download to us and that aren't even ours. And I know you and I've talked at depth about beliefs that aren't even ours, And so she said, oh, Rose kicked out because she didn't like the color of the panels or something. I mean, something like that ridiculous. And I was like, yeah, well, it could be possible that that's the case, because I didn't want to make her feel wrong, but I also wasn't going to let her gaslight me with her, obviously, a belief system that wasn't serving the horse. And from my experience and the things that I have experienced with hundreds of horses firsthand. So you're like, so then that comes all down to like, who do you trust? And you just have to, I think that really takes you into a space where just being still and listening to source and what God and creator has to download to you around what that looks like. And that's why I don't think, St. Peter, whatever, the angel at the gate might say, you were close, but you're a little off. And that's what ends up happening when we start to create the story. So I say, what story would you like to create around them not being here anymore? When you lose someone or someone passes, like, the story my mom has around my brother's death is horrible. It was because she was a bad mom. My brother didn't die because my mom was a bad mom. I don't believe that, but that's the story that she's created around it.
Yeah. And I actually have been feeling like I want to get away from creating stories. I don't even want to make up a story just to make myself feel better, but rather to be able to be okay with not knowing and not expecting to be an all-knowing being that can understand why. Because let's face it, the universe, nature, it's so much bigger than us being able to understand why nature is so beautiful, but so equally cruel and ugly and scary, right? Because what's been killing me a little bit has been the idea of these sweet little cats getting eaten alive by a predator, and which is a morbid, like, gruesome thought process that I keep having to be like, no, don't think about that, because I don't want to think about that. Right. But that is the nature of nature. I mean, these animals are killing each other in cold blood and eating these things. And the cats do it too. How many mice and chipmunks and birds. So it's like,
so why are we grieving the cats more than we're grieving the chipmunks?
Well, I don't. Every time they would bring something to me, I would actually say a little prayer for each little thing. And it's not like I didn't know this was going to happen, because that's the balance of life. I mean, these cats can only kill so many things before something's going to get it, right? So but it still hurts either way, no matter how I want to rationalize or be logical about it or whatever it is. The emotions are still very present, palpable.
Yes.
So, but I think letting go, my brother said to me, he said it a couple times, this is where all that spiritual work you've been doing, Dan, now you have to actually, these are the times you put it into practice, right? Like, and yes. And also like,
don't throw that crap back at me.
Yeah. I mean,
throw it at you.
Right. Well, but he's right. He's not even wrong. Right. But it's also, again, instead of being like, grieve however long you need to grieve right away. It's this idea of, okay, get over it already. not that that's what he's saying, but it almost has been a consensus with a lot of, so, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their way of doing things, but I guess I'm wanting to, I don't know what the heck I'm wanting to do, honestly. And that's been a feeling a lot too recently, is I don't know. And I don't care. I don't know. And I don't care. And I don't know. And I don't care, which can only last for so long, right? Because I have to care about a lot of things, but there is still so much I don't know, and that's okay. I guess I don't need to know right now.
Yeah, it took me 2.5 years before I got the download from Source about Little Stu's reason for no longer being here. And when that happened, I was like, it gave me such a great sense of relief, and I didn't feel that need to connect that sadness to him as much. And the tears that I cry for him now are more of gratitude for what he did give me while he was here, and how he set me, like a little toy sailboat, like go forth, and just kind of pushed me off into the ocean. And it's really a beautiful thing. And it took me 6 years before I was able to even consider getting another miniature horse. And the day I decided to is the day someone wrote me and said, I didn't even put it out there. I didn't tell anybody. I just had one of my friends randomly said, hey, there's this lady who has these animals. She had a donkey and a pig and chinchilla. I don't know. She had a bunch of random animals in her backyard. And she said, she has these animals. Can you take the pony and the mini and the donkey and she wanted me to take all of them. I'm like, I'm not the Musicians of Brunswick. Hang on. So I said, well, I said, send me a picture of the mini. And it was that morning. I will never forget. I was in Marco Island at Life and Wealth Mastery at Tony Robbins. And I was walking down the hallway at the Marriott, and she sent me this photograph of Tuesday. And I just started crying. I texted her back immediately, and I said, I'll take her. I didn't know sight unseen, and the same thing happened, when my dog passed. It took several years, and then I ended up Bodie, and then he ended up passing away. It was like all of these things that just kind of put you in alignment and understand, like really understanding this, like you said, the circle of life. And I don't mean to be like Disney cliche about that, but it is really true. And the transcendence of us, because there is no death, only a transfer of the energy of where we happen to be at any given time, and I think that, especially since they were sweet little cats and doing what they were supposed to do, I mean, they're coming back as something better. They were caterpillars before they were cats, and now they're going to be something better, something more evolved, or something with a higher level of consciousness, just because they were around you. Yeah. And that's the soul work, is pouring your beautiful soul into the things that you love and care about, and continuing to download from Source to allow that to flow through you. I mean, my horses are happier than they've ever been. It's so fun to watch them now, now that they're here together with me. And I tell you, and I have, this conversation, you told me, don't go there. I have a 22-year-old horse, a 21-year-old horse, and a 20-year-old horse. And that's sticks with me sometimes, because they're all about the same age and they're all getting older. And man, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, God's will be God's will, but.
Yeah. Well, and so, I mean, if I could watch myself, I'd probably be laughing, because I was walking up the driveway like, like looking all over the lawn, because I can see them everywhere. Especially Maverick was like always hanging out with me, right? And then I'm in the house cleaning, getting ready for the weekend, and on the steps I could see him, and on the on the back porch I literally was like, it is a little comical the way I was just I was belting it out, like at one point, kind of screaming it a little, thinking, thank God I have 24 acres and no neighbors hear me, because they might call 911 and be like, somebody's dying next door. Because I was really just, because you get to a point where it's like, I just get it out, man. I want to get it out. And so I was screaming. And then I come back down Walk up the stairs to come into the loft, and Ruby's hanging out there. And I look at her and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even think about what it's going to be like when she's gone. Because I've had her for literally 17 years, and she was sick a few weeks ago, and that was scary. Now she's fine.
17. That's up there, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's a centenarian in dog years.
She got over her sickness. I don't know. Still don't know what the heck it was, but whatever. So it's just like, okay, all right, this is life. And there's always going to be something to learn from and evolve from and make light of, I guess, and feel the feels and keep moving and all those phrases and statements and thoughts and
yeah. And again, at the same time, Earth is a learning planet. We come to Earth to roll around in the dirt and get all bumpy and bruised and learn.
I still have this little guy.
Oh, Leo.
But that was his best buddy.
Yeah.
For him. His whole family's gone now.
You still have both the little black kitties, yeah?
Yeah, but Gray and Maverick were a part of his litter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he's been snuggling me in bed at night more than he ever has, which makes me think maybe he's missing him too.
Of course.
His little buddy.
When I left with little Stu to go to the hospital and then came back with his ashes in a box, Trace was there when we left. My white horse, Trace, he was there when we left. So he saw me take little Stu away. Dante was not there. He was in a different pasture in the back part of the farm where I was. So he did not see that. And when I got back, Dante ran the fence for 11 days, screaming like you. 11 days full, like, where's little Stu? Screaming for him. He knew. And when you hear, an animal like that, like what you're talking about, walking up the driveway, just letting it out. And, after 11 days, it was crushing me. It was breaking my heart.
Yeah.
To see him go through that. And it's, and it's same, people that are telling you, pull out of it because they don't want to see you hurt. It sucks, because you're like, I know why not. Okay, fine. You got to do what you got to do. But the people are, want you to be, they just don't, not that they want you to get through it. They're just like, they just want to see you hurt. They just want to see you hurting. And I think this is really poignant because I was talking about this exact same thing this morning. When you got to hold space until that person is done. You can't, there's no pulling the hermit crab out of their shell when they need to go through the emotion. You can support and hold space and do the 4-H. Do you need to be heard, held, helped, or healed? And most of the time, all we want to do is help. And most of the time, all you want is to be heard or held. It's usually not the other two until you've done the first two. You can't. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So it's really like grief is such a powerful topic, and loss, especially of a loved one, is such a powerful topic. And I know my friend Peter wrote me the other day because I was telling him about being here at the new space and doing retreats here now, and how you have greenhouse up there and you're doing cool stuff up there, and I have yellow house down here and we're doing cool stuff down here. And I said something about the horses being older, and he says, well, Jen, they have been taking care of you for a long time. Now it's time for you to take care of them. And I was like, and I knew what he meant, because obviously I always feed my horses and care for them. But the balance of power, that balance of power shifted a little to pouring into them as they get older, and pouring into them and making sure that their needs are really taken care of, and that their working days are protected, energetically so much more now than in the past. And there's no more Trace giving someone horseback riding lessons like that. That happened 10 years ago when I was homeless and broke, but we don't do that anymore. Like he has a different purpose, because it's my turn to have stewardship of these guys. And I know I need to do that. So when they pass, I can be at peace knowing that I gave them everything they needed. And it's not easy to go through what you're going through and what you're dealing with, But at the same time, it does give you really good contrast for. And then then I go, well, I never want to love anything again the way I loved little Stu. It's so bad when they're gone. So,
except you somehow love harder, which is crazy, right? Because like the pain opens your heart more.
And you're gonna make me cry because you're right.
And then it's, because I look at all these guys lately. I've been very well, ever since Oliver went to the clinic, I've been super adamant about being so consciously, intentionally present with every single one of them now, and really soaking in all the moments, and appreciating them more and more and more, right? Because it's like, I don't know, nobody knows how long we have with anyone, anywhere, anytime. So now I'm so like, probably to the point where they're getting annoyed with me because I'm just like, I love you so much, and hugging everybody, kissing
isn't there.
Huh?
I said it's a good thing Tuesday isn't there.
Oh yeah, she'd be kicking me left and right because but yeah, I mean, even Oliver, I was so on him every day that I could feel at one point he was like, I'm fine, okay? Like I could almost feel his energy be like, Mom, I'm fine, stop, oh God.
Drop me off a block from the school.
Right. Like he saw me coming and he would be like, oh shit.
Here she is again.
Walking the other way. But
and that's you gotta be. I won't. I'm working with my friend Tracy, and she's like, my horse just doesn't love to be snuggled. I'm like, yeah, he does. You just don't know how to snuggle him right. And he has a story about what snuggling means to him. And it's like, so we're working through that because I go up and I snuggle Tuesday, but man, oh man, it's like snuggling a cactus.
It's like a mosh pit. It's like a mosh pit.
Like a mosh.
You're like, that hoof in the face means she loves me, actually.
Yeah. I can see her at like on the surf in the crowd at like a Chili Pepper concert.
Oh my gosh.
How you used to jump stage diving, how that was a thing? Can you imagine here Tuesday? Go!
Oh man.
It's so funny. It's such a little riot. I love that little nugget. But which speaking of, if you're watching this, Tuesday now officially has her own Instagram. So I know we finally I've been wanting to do that for a long time. And weirdly enough, Tuesday with her spelling, Toosday, it's taken. Like who the hell is it? There's no other. So you know what? Screw that person. She's the Tuesday. So her hashtag is @TheTuesday. So I'm pretty excited about that. And
or the real Tuesday.
Yeah, well, the real Tuesday, please stand up, right? Exactly. So no, she's @TheTuesday. But we've been doing a lot of cool stuff with her down here, and I'm very excited about that because she's just such a riot. But it's almost like, why do we keep opening our hearts when we know? I mean, by all rights, none of these animals will outlive us because we naturally have a longer lifespan than them. Dante will be like, what's the oldest living horse? In the 40s, maybe, I don't know. But
yeah, I mean,
not 90.
No, yeah, right.
And by all right,
if horses like, how dogs, it's like 1 year is like 7 dog years. What are horses?
Yeah, horses, there's not a straight number one because as horses get older, they just age a little differently. But someone has made a chart, an algorithm, and you can go and just, if you Google it, you can look and see like how old a horse is. Like we figured out Dante is 22, which he's equivalent. He's actually the same age as Tony Robbins, like almost to right now, him and Tony are the same like age in horse and human years. But it's not that there is a relation. It's just not the same as dogs. So, and I was just going to look up like, what is the oldest living horse or record horse on record? Badger, 51, the Guinness Book of World Records Badger died in 2004. Wait, no, they claimed so the oldest horse, Badger, who was also 51, died in 2004. Shane never made it into the book, and Badger still holds the record. So there you go. 51 is the number.
Wow.
For the oldest living horse. So come on, Dante.
Right.
He's just getting into, he's not even into middle age yet. So that's where
I wonder what Badger was eating. Was he a vegan? Well, you know what I mean. He is already a vegan.
Like,
he's
what's
already
his diet, right?
Yeah.
And I think too, because people like come here and your horses are very similar. You're like, wow, your horse is 22. That he looks like he's 14. You know, he looks amazing. And I think that there's something about I can't believe I was thinking about this morning. My mentor used to say, I don't know if he still says it, love, language, and leadership in equal doses, which sounds really cute and clever and the alliteration, blah, blah, blah. I disagree. I think it is 98% love and 2% language, or 1% language and 1% leadership. I mean, I think that love is that powerful. I really feel like love is that powerful. And I look at my animals and maybe they drank Budweiser and ate cheeseburgers their entire life, but they have been loved so deeply, you know, they are loved so deeply that, you know, that there's something about that Huey Lewis song, The Power of Love, you know, and I really believe that love isn't all you need. It's not all you need, but I think that there is such a deep power to that maybe my guys will live to be 51 and break the world record. All 3 of them, all 7 of them, you know, whatever, because I think they are just so loved. And when you come here and to your place too, the same, you know, your animals are so, look at Ruby. She's 17. I mean, I don't know what the record is for a dog, but let's find out. Oldest dog in the world. I think it was a Portuguese dog, 30 years and 266 days, almost 31 years old. So there you go.
Chihuahuas are very like 15 to 20 is typical.
Yes.
So she's on the, you know, she's getting there, and listen, she's almost completely deaf and she's going blind, but she's still got that pep in her step. So,
well, that's because she drinks that bulletproof coffee from Dave Asprey. So, because I think about it, because I love following Dave because he's so like, he's always biohacking something and turning back the clock. And like, I don't know his actual age. I know he's in his 50s, like from a biological clock standpoint, but in his that's not true. Chronological clock, biological clock, he's around like mid 30s. And I think the more as we start diving into what biohacking is and how we are vibrational and energetic beings in this lifetime, you know, when you die of old age, you know, I'm going to be damn old because I don't know about you. My birthday's in 5 days and I'm going to be years old but it doesn't matter. I mean, if I told somebody I walked up and said I was 35, no one would question. You know, no one would question that, except that, you know, maybe I have a little bit more wisdom in my eyes than some 35-year-olds. They're like, wow, you really are mature for your age. When in actuality, I'm just biologically healthy for my age. So, because believe it or not, I'm hitting the last year of my 40s. I'll be 50 next year. So, and I you know, what do they say? That I apologize to all the 30-year-olds that I thought were old when I was 18. And, you know, just looking at age from a different perspective and looking at life and how we transcend from a different way, you know, allow these things to move. Now, trust me when I say Dante and Trace, like I've had both of those guys for 18 years, both of them. I got them 6 months apart. And man, oh man, I don't want to rue that day because it's not here for a long, long time. I might have another 30 years with Dante by what we just read. But at the same time,
yeah,
that's going to be a tough one. I mean, they've been my life. They've been my business. They've helped so many people. And it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And I, yeah, it makes you think about like how to embrace the change that creates. So this is what I've been thinking about, because even just with the one cat, I'm thinking about how much he brought to this venture. I mean, just we'd be working in the round pen, and he's always hanging around
Yeah,
watching.
I
And
know. I'm always like, dude, get him out. You him and me are both. I'm like,
so
cats actually, are they going to do the stuff too? Like
yeah,
that horse is coming. They might want to move. Just saying.
and I mean, how many times people are like that he brought them joy just by being, being there,
Silly.
coming, saying hello, being friendly. And it saddens me to think that's not that's not going to happen anymore, but maybe something else will happen that I don't know about, or who knows. Trying not to stay too much in that thought process, and accept whatever change, right? Because when things are removed, it'll make space for other things, and all of that jazz. But
Oh, jazz. Well,
yeah.
and two, like I said, it took a long time for me to get boat. My dog, I got this beautiful Rhodesian Ridgeback rescue, and he died. He strangled himself on his collar. He jumped over a wall, and the
Oh,
collar, yeah. And I had him a month. But I
oh,
look at that, I know it was awful. Hauling ass to the vet trying to save him, and he passed. But I look at that and I say, there was a reason for that, because look at what happened. Like it would have been hard for me to come to New York with him. It would have hard for me to have traveled and done all of my life would have been very, very, very different had he not passed. And then I go, well, shit. No, did I just wish that, did we manifest the Bella, or did the Bella already going to happen? So you just, like you said, opening, I love what you said when what did you say? It was so pretty. The pain. What did you say? It was so good. The pain actually cracked,
it opens your
opens your
heart.
heart
It
even more.
expands your heart to then love even more. It really
Yeah.
does.
But
So
you'd think it would do the opposite, and it does for some people, for the unwoke,
yeah.
you know?
Well, right. For the ones who then are too afraid to feel the pain again, I think then they close their heart. But we're the type of people, I think, and there's a lot of us out there, right, that once the pain subsides and we heal, because we're all about healing, and it's a big part of our lives. I mean, look at the journeys that we're on. We're all about
Right,
healing
right.
ourselves, healing our animals, helping others heal. So it only makes sense that then once the healing like is on its um what's the word I'm looking for? Well, once the healing has begun, it's already right away. Like, okay, now I can love even more, even bigger, even stronger.
Yep, absolutely. And to have that be able to crack your heart open even more. Like, I because that the feelings that you have and with these animals, I mean, there's something about animals and nature, and even Sarah Blakely was out like, I'm out here and the nature, and she go wherever she goes, before she gives a big talk, she tries to get out in nature, in some way. And there's something that's very healing about, and specifically horses. I mean, that we all know that it's just, there's something magical about these animals that just, they crawl into our hearts, and I'm never going to shut that door. And I'm already thinking about like, I want more horses, so I can love more, but I want to help more horses, and I want to help more people, and whatever that looks like. But I think that it's beautiful to see you be so just raw and vulnerable and mature about how you're going through this process. I mean, you had a sick donkey, caught week sleeping in the barn in an air mattress and make sure he was okay. And then Oliver having to go to the clinic, and then losing,
And Ruby,
and then Ruby getting super sick, and then now you're two cats. And like, don't, at this time, it's just like, what next? Please, but there's a gift there, whatever it is. And who knows whether or not you'll understand what it is in this lifetime. I didn't understand why my part of the reason why my brother passed, and part of the reason why my brother passed is for me to say, get out of my own way and saying these horses help heal me. And like the people that come here and, pay for it, whatever, I really now am looking at it like, well, how can I help veterans? Like my friend Peter just texted me before we got on and said, hey, I have a group of veterans I'd like to bring to you. And I'm like, yeah, bring them. I got a group of foster kids I want to bring to you. Bring them, because I want to support everyone and anyone. If you're listening to this, if you want to come and just be here and come enjoy the space, and there's tons of little nooks and crannies. I've got libraries and reading rooms and porches and all kinds of space, to come and just be out in nature and reconnect with yourself. And maybe, it's kind of cool. The horses are just roaming around. Every time I'm like, oh, hey, there's Dante. So it's just, there's something about nature and getting with these animals, and no wonder we're sad when they're gone.
And I feel compelled to say too, that the space that we've both created, and you inspired me in the creating my space to be very similar, because when I came to your retreat that first time 2 years ago, whenever it was, I had never experienced looking outside of a house window and seeing a horse right there, chomping on the bush or whatever he's doing.
What are you guys doing? Can I like that? Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved the way you had your barn set up that was so open. There was no bars. It didn't feel like a jail cell, and seeing them be so free was like, that's what I want to do. I want to create the same. So you really inspired me to do that. And when people come here, I had my meditation retreat. We were walking around barefoot on the front lawn with horses 5 feet away. And I said to her, sink this in, embrace it, because it is very rare to find a place where you can walk barefoot with horses. But it's a testament to what we've done with our horses and how we handle them and how well we know them and how well we know ourselves. And just, it's a beautiful experience that you can't find too often in too many places, right?
Not really. And much less being able to, because like you had an opportunity to ride Trace bareback and bridleless. Like how many, no place, no, there's no place in the world that you can experience horses, nature, animal, and healing the way you could experience at your place and my place. Both. I mean, there's no place in the world you can have this experience in the same way.
And it doesn't have to be, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and it doesn't have to be riding. A lot of people are so stuck on horses equal riding or riding. And it's like, I'm telling you, you can experience something that's, listen,
way more.
I'm not going to knock riding. It's a beautiful experience as well. But this is just a whole other level, and it doesn't have anything to do with riding them. It has to do with being with them, understanding them, feeling them, communicating with them, and then like reading each other's minds. I mean, the fact that I can think to myself, okay, I hope that I'm gonna do this. I'm sure they'll be on board with it, and then I'll show up and they've already done it, and I'm like, wow, look at that. They heard me.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true. And I was telling Mackenzie the story about Dante falling into the river and me waking up in the middle of the night, just kind of going, something's up. You have that level of awareness when you allow nature to take its course, and when you try and force or push, like I can't, I would love to take the bars off all of my stalls, but I can't because of where I am. But I'm definitely going to take the stall doors and open them up and put the little things there so the horses can be out. Like the only reason they go into their stalls is because so they can eat their breakfast. That's it. And they are in their stalls anyway, pooping and peeing and stuff because the fans are on. It's hot as hell down here.
Yeah,
but I don't want them to feel like they're confined. I want them to be like the natural, like. That's what, and nobody, why do we want money? So we can have freedom. Why do we want anything we want in life? And so we can have choices, whether it be for freedom or security or connection or whatever choose your flavor of fun, but that's what it's all about. And you're right. We've created something really magical. We really we have. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And I want to acknowledge both of us. for doing something really powerful to really bring horses to people in a unique way, because it's way more than riding.
It is. It is true. It is so true too that because my guys, you saw how I have it set up now. They have free range. They can come in and out of the barn as they please, and they don't have to be in the barn, but they each have their stall, and they just go in there. And I think it's funny that I have Scotty and the 2 mini horses. It's like Three's Company. Those 3, they all are always in the same stall together. The 3 of them. It's hysterical. And Rose and Bourbon. 2 big horses will hang out in one stall together. It's ridiculous what they do. Talk about codependency. It's like
I know, right? Oh my God.
You can't be 2 more feet away from me. You have to be on top
right
of me.
there.
Right there.
Same with my guys. It's the same. But anyway, I think, what are you doing?
I wanted to make sure that Ruby was in here because I leave that door open and she goes in and out, but the door slammed shut from the wind, and now I got this thing in my head. Can't lose any more animals, so I'm like trying to keep an eye on everybody.
Detach, sister. Detach.
I know. Easier said than done, baby.
Oh, I know. I know. When I realized that my property in Orlando was no longer my property, I had detached from everything. I detached from my horses. I got on my knees to God and surrendered then. And getting this place and being here, the more I'm here, the more I love it. The more I'm here, the more I love it.
It looks amazing. I can't wait to come and see.
Oh my God, it's so cool here. That's the feeling. Like I'm leaning into staying here as long as possible because it's just fucking amazing, freaking amazing. I love it. Pardon my language, but that's how much I love this place. It's awesome. What a powerful conversation, and I hope your energy feels a little better. I hope I was able to pour a little of my high vibe into you without loving you with the 2x4.
And I hope I didn't bring you down, bringing you down.
But what a great conversation. And for those of you that are watching, make sure you're tuning in every Friday around the 1 o'clock hour. Danielle and I go live. Who knows what we talk about? Like, we have some videos that we're doing some things with horsemanship. Sometimes we talk about grief. Today, obviously, that was our topic. Sometimes we talk about triggers, boundaries, but whatever it is, it's always powerful and it's always uplifting. And that's why we call it Fun Day Friday. So next week, I will be at Business Mastery, but I will not be able to jump on. I'll have to jump on your Zoom or your StreamYard I'm StreamYard. Never mind. Techno stuff. Sorry. But we'll be still going live every Friday around the 1 o'clock Eastern Miami time hour. And who knows what we're going to be talking about. It's like Yoda. It's what you take into it. So absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have an amazing rest of your week and weekend. I'm doing a speaking competition tomorrow with Greg Cardone and Pete Vargas down in Miami, so I'm excited about that. Wish me luck. And always believe in yourself. It will change your life. And love the kitties.
And love the kitties. Last of the Mohicans.